Okay, it's 10:01. Gonna call the meeting to order. This is meeting of classified PPC on November 21st, 2024. You've got an agenda packet in front of you. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. If there's any questions about those, be glad to talk about it, or if I missed something or didn't get something right. If not, if there's no discussion, then I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Rick, okay, been a motion seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, the action items on your agenda. I kind of wanted to talk about calendar real quick. Let me go back to my calendar responses. So you have a calendar template in there. That's really all that is. What I did is, you may remember that we put out a survey to get first priority, second priority, third priority, that kind of thing. And we were about, let's see, I'm going to say, let me filter that real quick. I can't remember. It seems like we were close to half and half on yes or no on whether or not we liked the old calendar. Yeah, it was. 57 said no, they didn't like this year's calendar. The rest said yes, they did like it. And then when you look at first priority, second priority, third priority, what I did was I assigned a point system to it. So if it's first priority, you got 1 point. Seventh priority, you got 7 points. The lowest number of points is like golf, right? The lowest number of points is the better score. So what staff said they were most interested in is having a full week off at Thanksgiving. After that, it became 3 weekends at Christmas. So that's 2 weeks, gives you 3 full weekends. Number 3 was last day before Memorial Day. Number 4 was 1 day of vacation per month. You want 1 day of vacation per month? Who doesn't, right?
Yeah, but I'll probably be here.
Number 5, the next one is Good Friday off. And then the last 2 were first day of school the week of August 18th, and then first day of school week of August 11th. So I'm going to come back to, we need to start putting together a calendar. I met with certified PPC yesterday, and one of the things that we talked about, and there is, I'll say, we let folks provide additional questions, and the question continues to come up. What about 4-day week? What about year round, right? I'm going to take us back to this time last year when we were doing that. We had roughly 18 people who commented, or no, I think it was like 30, it's like 35, 36 people who commented one way or the other on 4-day a week, and it was really about half and half. It was, 18 people said we should consider, we need a 4-day week. About 18 people said if we go 4-day a week, I'm going to go somewhere else because I hate it, that kind of thing. So kind of got to remember that. There were some conversations as well, or some thoughts around year round. So all that to say, one of the conversations at certified PPC was maybe open to a schedule that was a little bit more, I'm going to call it year round, looking at it, right? From an instructional standpoint, I really like that. Teachers seem to like that as well, or the certified PPC, because it gives us an opportunity to maybe do 4 or 5 weeks of intensive tier 1, and then during that, let's call it a 2-week break, we may say, okay, there's a number, maybe half, I don't know, third of kids that we're going to identify for intensive week-long remediation or intervention, that kind of thing. So there was some attraction to that. Now I don't have any idea what budget numbers would look like because, that'd be beyond contract scope, right? And so that would be additional days, much like we're doing the 21st century learning piece, right? I haven't thought about what does that look like in terms of nurses? What does that look like in terms of kitchen? What does that look like in terms of technology or support staff, that kind of thing? So for those of us who are on 240-day contracts, it really doesn't matter. But for those of us, and most of our classified staff are not, right? It does matter. And so, what does that look like? But it does impact, what does custodial look like when you still got kids in the building? Additional weeks and that kind of thing. So there are some things that we're going to have to work out if we're going to go that direction. I would tell you from a certified standpoint, certified PPC, they want to at least look at it. So really this is just time for discussion, if nothing else. I mean, thoughts, concerns, questions.
I've looked at both calendars.
Huh?
I've looked at both calendars at other districts. 4-day really does hurt your kitchen budget because you lose 1 day every week that you're feeding breakfast and lunch. And you can make part of that up with snack, but not all of it.
Right.
So you're paying your staff the same with less income.
Yeah, 4 day a week in my world is out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because, and this is what I told the certified staff, certified PPC, is, somebody would have to bring me research data that it's better for kids.
Right.
And what I have seen is kiddos learn in 4 day weeks. They learn more in 5 day weeks. I mean, that's what all the research, and that makes, to me, I don't know that I need research to tell me. That's common sense to me, right?
I can't see my 7-year-old granddaughter sitting still that extra.
And as a bus driver, because you said that, driving the 21st century kids, I have another name for them, but anyway, and it makes it really late for them. They're tired on the bus. They're ornery. I mean, I would be. If I eat lunch early at 10:30, I'm hungry and tired. I'm cranky. I want to go home. Think of these kids. I think I told Miss Cripe the second week of doing this, I got on the radio and I said, Miss Cripe, if we ever do 10-hour days, 4 days a week or whatever the hour time would be, 4 days a week, I quit. I quit right now. Miss Kim, thank you for helping me. So, but I was always for the 4 days. We love the 4 days when it comes to summer, but we don't have these kids to deal with, and these kids are first. They're number one. So, that's my opinion of it.
But on the year round, sorry, Diana.
No, go ahead.
On the year round, do the studies show that scores go up or kids do better?
I don't know. I haven't looked into that as much. I think the thing that I'm concerned about is we are spending a lot of time from a certified standpoint. We're spending a lot of time intervening on kids. And when we're intervening on kids, guess what? We're not teaching kids because right now intervention time or instruction time. It's an either or. That may not be the case as much if we can do some of that tier 2 instruction. If what we're doing is we're saying, okay, here's a 5 to 6 week window. These are the standards we're going to cover, right? And we're gonna tier 1 intervene, meaning kids are in the classroom, they're working, teacher walks by and says, hey, I see you're not getting this, try this, try this, try this. That's tier 1 intervention, right? Where they're trying to correct or help kids sort of re-navigate through the assignment or through the activity. And there are kids where you get the, through a number of standards and they just, like it's gone. Those are the kids that right now we're spending a lot of time and energy to help during the school day. Not a bad thing. It's the mechanism, right? But I'm wondering, what does that look like if we sort of we do that, but then we shift that really intensive intervention to, a week, where now I'm not working with every kid. I'm only working with the kids who need it, right? Or maybe, again, budget's no issue. Maybe we give parents the option for that week. I'm working with the kids who need it and the kids who need extensions, right? Because we have and we reshuffle kids for that time. And now I'm a teacher and I'm working on this skill, then every kid in second grade who needs that skill, or maybe, here's the thing, it may be kids in second and third grade because a third grader doesn't have that skill. And so now we've got, during that intervention time, we have the option to have sort of multi-age classroom because it's based on the skill, not on the born-on date of kids. Right? And so it gives us a little bit more flexibility. It makes sense to me that we'll be able to make up ground a little faster than in the traditional structure. Now what that means is we're starting before, we may be looking at starting at the last week in July.
I don't have a problem with the year-round calendar. I've looked at it, like I said. I'm kind of thinking, wouldn't it be nice to take a vacation when it's not spring break and every district's not on spring break?
My concern, or a concern I have, is one, will parents send their kids, right, on those off weeks?
Right.
Can we staff it, right? What level of staffing do we need? I was a little concerned of, can we staff 21st century, but it seems like we've staffed it pretty well, right? It was, and so...
And is it a half day, an all day? Would it require breakfast, lunch?
That's what, we could, depending on how many kids we needed to serve in that intervention, we could do it in 3-hour increments, right? Where, okay, you guys are coming in the morning, you're coming in the afternoon, or vice versa, and, kind of do it that way. So, right now where we're at is certified PPC wants to look at it. So, that's sort of where it's at. And unless somebody in here says, absolutely not, I don't want to look at it or investigate it, then that's probably the direction we'll go.
Would that curtail the maintenance and big projects?
Well,
stuff like that?
That's what I was thinking.
It would at some level, but within that year-long calendar, I believe there's a stipulation that there has to be at least a 6 or 7 week summer break.
Yes.
So it's year-round, but that June, July world, you have to be off from whatever it is, whatever the 6-7 weeks is. Let's call it June 1 to the 3rd week in July.
So we'd have a
So
summer.
you'd
it would
still
just be
have
fast.
If you
you
look
still
at
have
the
6 or 7
couple
weeks.
weeks.
districts that already do it, they have somewhere between, I thought it was 5 to 7, I'm not sure, but they have a summer break.
Well, and you have
And
to
then their other days are taken, like they go to school 9 weeks, they're out a week, something, or 2 weeks, however they do it. There's a lot of schools that have done it, and the people I talk to enjoy it. Now, where I do see it being a problem is like some of the kitchen staff will tell you, I like my summers.
Exactly, because they're
I like
used to
them
that.
just like they
and
are.
the nurse might like her summers.
And well, that's what I mean. It's not going to be
Yes.
just kitchen. It's going
Well,
to
I've had conversations with parents. I'm a single mom or I'm a single dad, and I get my kid every other summer, and I don't want my summer shortened. Right? That's a legit conversation because I've had them.
right.
So
Still, the father has to work, and you still have daycare you got to provide for. So
Well, how much? Like you said, the summer is not that much shortened by what? A couple weeks?
well, if if you time it such that you, right now, let's back up. Right now, if we're getting out at Memorial Day and we're coming back, August 16th-ish, then that's 4, 8, there's 2, that's 10, let's call it 11.
I figured 12.
So it's short by,
That's-
5 weeks. And then what you get inside there is you're going to get, an extra week here, an extra week there. I mean, you get it back
Right.
in essence. You just get it back in other places. To which I would then say, right? I mean, because I'm never going to get, we're never going to get into like custody kinds of issues, right? Then it becomes, if your summer's shortened, then you've got an extra week in October. Y'all can talk about what that looks like, or you've got an extra week at, that kind of thing. Now, it will impact activities. That's a thing. It's going to impact, football and basketball and all those things. But right now it looks like we're just going to look at it and see what happens.
Oh, we gotta do what we gotta do. Bring it on, I guess.
I'm
I'm
good
here
with looking at
regardless.
it.
Exactly.
And
We're
honestly,
both here regardless.
Yeah, we're
I'll
all
find
here
some other
anyway.
school districts that already do it and just kind of see how they're.
Right.
Hillcrest does it, and which my son goes to Southern Hendricks, but he has a friend at Hillcrest, and Gavin's always talking about how he thinks it's an awesome how their calendar is. I think a lot of the kids would like it too, but I know a lot of people at Hillcrest like it, and I know
And the kids are gonna fall into place
Yeah.
somewhat regardless anyway.
Yeah.
And the parents eventually will have to.
Well, somebody mentioned yesterday they knew some teachers at Hillcrest who really liked
Yeah.
it.
I've heard good things from everybody over there.
Okay, we're gonna look at it and we'll bring back something, and I may have a couple of you help me out with that. Okay, second issue, item 3.2 is a new policy. So as I got to looking, there is no companion contract return policy to class or certified. So certified has a policy. It's 3.10 that indicates that they have 30 days to return their contract. The reason they have that policy is because that used to be in state law. With the Learns Act, they got rid of that. But the district chose to keep the 30-day window. So, when a certified staff member receives their contract, they have a defined time in policy to return their contract. Classified staff do not. Okay, that's one. Two, we're modifying, or I've proposed to certified PPC to modify their contract return policy to add what is essentially the third paragraph that would provide a $400 one-time stipend to retirees who tell us and turn in their retirement paperwork prior to February 1st. Okay? So what that means is, on a certified side, if they tell me and turn in a letter that says where I'm going to retire in, at the end of this year, and they do so by February 1st, then in May, we're going to write them a $400 check. Well, I think the same thing needs to be said for classified staff. In order to do that, it makes sense to me that we create this new policy because, while there wasn't anything in law that gave classified staff a window of time to turn their contract back in, doesn't mean there shouldn't have been, right? And there may or may not have been any issues with it, but since we're modifying, since I'm proposing to provide a $400 certified stipend for retirees, I don't necessarily, it's not right to leave out classified, obviously, so that generates the entire policy in my world.
And it's extremely helpful from a staffing standpoint for the next school year.
It really is. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is if staff wait until, you know, if we give out now here's the other thing. My plan is to give out contracts earlier this year. Now we're going to talk about what that means. Well, we can talk about what that means now. What that means is we're also this year is a legislative year, right? So in January of 25, the legislature will meet, and one of the things they will do is they will set the foundation funding per pupil for school districts. That's basically how we fund 98% of our positions. And right now, they've made the legislative council, the educational legislative council, can't think of what the term is right now. They have made a recommendation of a little over $7,800, but it's just a recommendation, right? Until the legislature passes it. Well, the legislature probably isn't going to take that up until spring breakish, April. Right, so by the time they get around to passing it, it's going to be mid-April before we know how much money we're going to be allocated per kiddo. Well, I don't want to wait that long to get contracts out because I would really like to get a jump on hiring, you know, in March if possible, because that's when people are going to be, you know, looking around, and so I want the pick of the litter. I don't want, you know, what's left over in June. Not that that's a bad. I mean, there's good people left over in June. It's just the earlier we start, the better off we're going to be. And so right now, that would mean that we're building next year's contracts off of this year's salary schedule. Okay. Now, I've made no secret, I don't think, about the 3-phase process for dealing with salary schedules. Phase 1 was certified. We did that, you know, my first year, or I guess, you know, it was done for us when the $50,000. Last year, I said we're going to work on classified salaries, and I think we did. Phase 3 is looking at administrative salaries and stipends for, you know, certification, experience, education, all those things that people said they wanted to look at. Loyalty to the district, you know, those kind of things. So, but I won't know. I mean, right now I've got to assume that we are going to have, in essence, about the same dollar amount we have this year, because the drivers for that are primarily enrollment and, you know, per pupil funding. We don't know what per pupil funding is, and right now, as of the Friday or Monday of the board meeting, the enrollment was $1,896. We started the year with $1,910. Right? So every one of those kids we lose is $7,700 plus to our bottom line, right? So we can start kind of extrapolating out what we think that is going to be, but we don't know what that's going to be. So all that to say, I expect we're going to have to do contracts based on the existing salary schedule. Then once we know how much they're going to give us, then we can do some sort of backfilling and look at, do we have enough in our operating money, in our operating accounts, to start looking at, you know, raises or anything like that. But I'm thinking that's going to be on a resolution to the board after, if that's the case, right? It may be the case where we don't get any more money, and it is what it is, and we're going to have to. I don't want that. I hope that's not the case. We're going to work on that not being the case, but I don't have a crystal ball. And so, you know, it's one of those things where, and at some level, I mean, I use this word with certified, at some level, it's a little bit of trust that, hey, once we know what this number is, we're going to do a good faith looking at it on, can we do more for our staff members, right? But we can't do that outside of the timeline that the legislature establishes for us. Because, as I started, I want to get contracts out earlier this year than we've done it in previous years. So, any questions, concerns, comments about the policy? What we're going to do is we're not going to vote on this policy today because you need time to look at it. You need time to think about it. Maybe share it with the individuals you represent. See if they have any concerns. It mirrors the certified policy. So I'll just say that. And then we'll come back in December prior to the December board meeting. When we get to the end, we can kind of talk about that, maybe the 4th or 5th of December, to actually take a vote on this policy. Any questions?
One. So this retirement, $400. How would that go along with like a retention? Would that one take them out for that? Because in the past, retirees have gotten the retention bonuses.
Depends on how the retention bonus is worded, how the resolution would be worded. Now, this is such that, because this question came up yesterday, it's a good question, and you may not have anybody. In the certified world, we do have, in the district, we have 4 employees, and I know 1, maybe 2 of them on the classified side, but we have 4 employees who are already retired and still working, right? So the question on this is, do they qualify? And the answer is, my goal would be that everybody has one opportunity to qualify, right? So because I'm also going to ask, when you vote on this policy, I'm going to ask you to vote on this policy and add it to this year's personnel policies, right? Now, why would we do that? So that we can implement this $400 stipend this year. If you don't vote to add it to the 24-25 policy set, then it, by law, cannot go into effect until July 1 of 2025, which leaves folks out who are going to retire this year out of the cold, right? So the idea is they would be paid the stipend once on the May prior to their separation from the district. Because in Arkansas, there's 4 ways you can retire, right? One of those is, if you're old enough, I think it's 65, you can retire, not separate from the district, and keep working. Okay? We have some of those individuals, every school district does, we have some of those individuals who do that. Well, they can retire, as long as they say they're going to retire before February 1, they can do that. They can be now eligible for the $400 stipend. Let's say they don't separate from the district. Next year they come back and they separate from the district. They retired a year early, but they stayed because they were 65. Now it's the end of next year. I'm going to separate from the district. That's when they get their $400. Okay. We also have some that retired last year or retired 2 years ago, sat out for a year, or maybe sat out for whatever, 3 months, 4 months, and came back, right? So when they separate from the district, my intention would be to provide them with the $400 stipend. What you would not be able to do is, I'm going to retire, get the $400 stipend, going forward anyway, I'm going to retire, get the $400 stipend, separate from the district, get that stipend, sit out a year, come back, work a year, and get that stipend again, right? Everybody gets the stipend one time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else on that one? Okay, so item 3.3 is I shared with the board at the board meeting that I was going to visit with our PBCs about a proposed $500 bonus to be paid out on the December check. You don't have any supporting documentation on that because I didn't make any, and we're just talking about it. And so in essence, I mean, I did budget for it. And so the budget has already been passed by the board. They still, I mean, we would still ask them to approve the bonus, obviously, because I hadn't proposed that. Now I'm proposing that. And by law, I have to share that with you first. You get 10 days to consider whether or not you want $500. And then we come back and vote on that. Any questions, concerns on the proposed bonus to be paid out in December?
No.
Okay, anything else anybody wants to talk about?
I would like, do we need to make a policy stating about furniture?
About what?
Furniture that is brought to the school.
Teachers bringing couches in their room. Teachers bringing lamps. Can they carry it out in the summer what they bring in? Or are they even allowed to bring in a couch?
Well, it's not, I will say this, it wouldn't be a personnel policy, so it wouldn't be in 3 or 10. It wouldn't be something that this group would have to, or the teacher group would have to vote on.
Okay. So
I would say, I mean, no, I think that's more of a directive.
okay.
Would it be up to the buildings?
It is if I allow them to leave it up to the buildings. If not, then it's a directive, from this office that says, hey, we're not doing that.
So it's a you and him thing, or at least a suggestion. And
I mean, I've already told the building principals that there are certain things I'm not willing to purchase, right? Like, I mean, I've had teachers put in for they want a new desk chair, and I'm going to get this cheap pink gaming chair. I'm buying a pink gaming chair, right? I mean, it may be cheap. I have one. I sit in it not for long periods of time because it makes your back hurt. But I mean, the point is, we are slowly. The goal is to slowly move us into where everything is the same. It's uniform, right? Every classroom, that would be my vision. Every classroom has a teacher desk, a teacher chair, a 2-door cabinet, and a bookshelf. Right? If there's anything else in there, then it needs to go, or it needs to, that kind of thing. For elementary, we might have rugs in the classroom because kids need to sit on the rugs every now and then, that kind of thing. No reason a high school classroom should have a futon.
thank you.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Here.
I guess it makes it harder in the summer, doesn't it?
It
When you're
does.
So then you
Cleaning
gotta
and
pull all
moving and
that junk
waxing
out,
and-
and then what if we break it? Who pays for it? And
So,
We've got, I don't know, maybe it needs to be.
anyway,
No, we got some that's really bad. Anyways.
anything else? All right, we just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
A second.
Okay. So anybody all opposed or what? Now I'm off kilter here.
Oh, gosh.
Do we support it? Yes or no? Okay, everybody wants to keep meeting then.
Do we support adjourning?
Yes.
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 I know. I got lost in my
You confused me, so I'm just like, I'm looking at everybody else going,
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say yes.
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 All those opposed? Okay, Tracy's holding hers. All right, so moved. I appreciate it. Thanks, y'all.
Doesn't take much to confuse.